If she calls her ex my favorite man while wearing my ring, what exactly am I supposed to marry? Her or the lie she's selling me? My name is Greg Harper, and I used to believe in forever. Stupid, right? At 39, I should have known better. I manage 3 restaurants in downtown Cedar Falls, a job that taught me to spot lies from a mile away. Customers lie about reservations, employees lie about being sick, and suppliers lie about delivery times. But somehow, I missed the biggest lie of all, the one my wife Alicia had been telling me for months. It started small, like most betrayals do. A text message here, a phone call there, always the same explanation. Just catching up with Dominic Salazar, her high school sweetheart, the guy she dated for 3 years before we met, the one she claimed was ancient history when we got married 5 years ago. We're just staying in touch, she'd say, whenever I raised an eyebrow at another late-night conversation. He's going through a rough patch with Susie. Susie, her best friend since childhood, who happened to be married to Dom. The irony wasn't lost on me, but I trusted my wife. I trusted the woman who promised to love only me, who wore my grandmother's ring, who shared my bed every night. I was an idiot. The pattern crept up slowly. Alicia's mood would brighten after those mysterious conversations. She'd smile at her phone in ways she hadn't smiled at me in months. During our dinners at Romano's, my flagship restaurant, her attention would drift. She'd check her messages between courses, her fingers dancing across the screen with an urgency she never showed when texting me. Work stuff, she'd explain, but Alicia was a fitness instructor at the local gym. What kind of work emergencies happen at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday? I gave her space because that's what good husbands do, right? I didn't want to be that guy, the jealous, controlling type who checks his wife's phone and demands passwords. I believed in trust, in the sanctity of marriage, in the idea that love conquers all. God, I was naive. The breaking point came on a Thursday evening in October. I'd just finished inventory at Romano's and was looking forward to a quiet night with Alicia. Maybe we'd watch a movie. Maybe we'd actually talk like we used to. I pulled into our driveway, noting that her car was already there, a good sign since she'd been working late most nights recently. I found her in the living room, curled up on our cream-colored sofa with her phone. She was smiling that secret smile again, the one that used to be reserved for me. Her fingers moved across the screen with practiced efficiency, and I caught a glimpse of her typing something that made her giggle. Actually giggle, like a teenager with her first crush. "Hey babe," I said, dropping my keys on the coffee table. "Good day?" She looked up, and for just a second I saw something flicker across her face. Guilt? Annoyance? It was gone so fast I might have imagined it. "Oh, hi. Yeah, fine. Just texting Susie about weekend plans." But she turned her phone face down as she said it, and that small gesture hit me like a punch to the gut. When had my wife started hiding her screen from me? I went to the kitchen, opened a beer, and tried to shake off the uneasiness. Maybe I was being paranoid. Maybe the stress of managing 3 restaurants was getting to me. Maybe... My phone buzzed with a social media notification. Someone had tagged me in a post. I opened the app absently, expecting to see a customer review or a photo from one of my restaurants. Instead, I saw my wife. She was standing next to Dom Salazar in what looked like Miller's Park, the place where we'd had our first date. They were close. Too close for people who were just friends. His arm was around her waist, her head tilted toward his shoulder. They looked like a couple. They looked happy. They looked like everything Alicia and I used to be. But it was the caption that destroyed me. "I'll miss you, darling. You're my favorite man." I stared at the screen until the words blurred. Favorite man. Not her husband of 5 years. Not the man who'd supported her through her father's death, who'd held her hair when she was sick, who'd given her his grandmother's ring and promised to love her forever. Her favorite man was the ghost from her past, the one she'd been texting and calling and meeting in secret. I set my phone down with deliberate care and walked back to the living room. Alicia was still on the sofa, still smiling at her screen. She didn't look up when I entered, didn't notice the way my hands were shaking or how my breathing had changed. "Alicia," I said quietly. "Hmm?" She didn't look up. "Who's your favorite man?" That got her attention. Her head snapped up, and I saw the exact moment she realized I'd seen the post. Her face went pale, then flushed red, then pale again. "Greg, I can explain." "Can you?" I pulled out my phone and showed her the screen. "Because this looks pretty clear to me." She scrambled to sit up straighter, her own phone forgotten on the cushions. "It's not what it looks like. Dom was just..." "Your favorite man," I finished. "Yeah, I read that part." "It was just a stupid comment. It doesn't mean anything." "Doesn't it?" I sat down in the armchair across from her, the coffee table stretching between us like a chasm. Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you've been having an affair. We're not having an affair. The words came out too fast, too defensive. We're just friends. We always have been. Friends don't pose for couple photos. Friends don't call each other darling. And friends definitely don't declare each other their favorite anything when they're married to someone else. Alicia's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. You're overreacting. It's just social media. It doesn't mean anything. Then delete it. What? Delete the post, right now. If it doesn't mean anything, if it's just a stupid comment, then delete it. She hesitated. For 5 long seconds, she hesitated, and in that pause, I heard the death knell of our marriage. I can't just delete it. People will ask questions. People are already asking questions, Alicia. Like why a married woman is posting romantic photos with her ex-boyfriend. He's not my boyfriend. Then what is he? Another pause. Another nail in the coffin. He's going through a hard time. His marriage to Susie is falling apart, and he needed someone to talk to. So you decided to be his emotional support system? His shoulder to cry on? His favorite person in the world? It's not like that. Then what is it like? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like my wife is in love with another man. The words hung in the air between us, heavy and final. Alicia's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't deny it. She didn't rush to reassure me, didn't throw herself into my arms and beg for forgiveness. She just sat there, crying silently, and I knew. I stood up slowly, my legs feeling unsteady. I'm going to ask you one more time, and I want you to think very carefully about your answer. Are you having an affair with Dom Salazar? Not a physical one, she whispered. Not a physical one. As if that made it better. As if emotional infidelity was somehow less devastating than the physical kind. I walked to our bedroom and opened the jewelry box on Alicia's dresser. Inside, nestled in blue velvet, was the matching wedding band to mine, the one she'd stopped wearing to the gym because it got in the way during workouts. I picked up my own ring, studying it in the lamplight. It was a simple gold band, nothing fancy, but it had belonged to my grandfather. He'd worn it for 53 years, through good times and bad, through arguments and reconciliations, through sickness and health, until death do us part. I slipped the ring off my finger and held it in my palm. It felt heavier than it should have, weighted with broken promises and shattered dreams. When I returned to the living room, Alicia was still crying. She looked up at me hopefully, as if expecting forgiveness, expecting me to fight for our marriage. Instead, I set the ring on the coffee table between us. What are you doing? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Giving you what you want. I don't want this. I want to work things out. I want to fix this. Do you? Because it seems to me like you've already made your choice. You chose him. You chose to be his favorite person, to be his emotional support, to pose for romantic photos and post them for the world to see. Greg, please. No. The word came out harder than I intended. I'm done begging for scraps of attention from my own wife. I'm done competing with a ghost from your past. I'm done pretending that this marriage means something to you when it's clear it doesn't. I picked up the ring again and walked to the kitchen. In the junk drawer, I found an envelope and a piece of paper. My handwriting was steady as I wrote, I don't need this ring anymore. Give it to your ex. If you want to be with him, then be with him completely. Don't come back into my life. If you're running to him, then go completely. Because I don't need a wife who chooses someone else while standing beside me. I sealed the ring inside the envelope, addressed it to Alicia's gym, and set it on the counter. When I returned to the living room, she was staring at the empty space where the ring had been. You're really doing this? She asked. You already did it, I replied. I'm just making it official. That night, I slept in the guest room. The next morning, I mailed the envelope and started looking for an apartment. Moving out was easier than I expected. 5 years of marriage, and I could fit my life into a dozen boxes. Funny how little you accumulate when you're busy building someone else's dreams. I found a 1-bedroom apartment above Rossetti's bakery on Main Street. It smelled like bread and coffee, and the rent was reasonable. The landlord, Mrs. Rossetti, was a widow in her 70s who took one look at my wedding ring tan line and offered me the first month free. Divorce? She asked with the bluntness of someone who'd lived through 8 decades of human drama. Getting there, I replied. Good. Life's too short to waste on people who don't appreciate you. I moved in on a Saturday. Alicia was at the gym, or so she claimed, and I packed my belongings in silence. Clothes, books, my grandfather's tools, the photo albums from before we met. I left everything we'd bought together, the furniture, the wedding china, the framed pictures of happier times. By Sunday evening, I was settled into my new life. It was smaller, quieter, and infinitely more peaceful than the house I'd shared with my wife. My phone had been buzzing all weekend, calls and texts from Alicia that I ignored. Finally, Monday morning, I listened to her voicemails. "Greg, please call me back. We need to talk about this. I got your note. This is crazy. You can't just throw away 5 years because of one stupid post. People are asking questions. My mother called. She wants to know where you are. Please, Greg, I love you. I made a mistake, but we can fix this." The last message was different. Her voice was smaller, more desperate. I deleted the post. I told Dom we can't talk anymore. Please come home. Too little, too late. I was at Romano's Tuesday morning when my phone rang. Richard Kowalski, my assistant manager and closest friend, glanced at the caller ID and raised an eyebrow. "You gonna answer that?" he asked. "Nope." I declined the call and went back to reviewing the previous night's receipts. Trouble in paradise? Richard was the only person who knew the whole story. We'd worked together for 3 years, and he'd become more of a brother than an employee. He was single, 35, and had a talent for reading people that made him invaluable in the restaurant business. "Paradise burned down," I said. "I'm living above Rossetti's now." "Shit, I'm sorry, man." "Don't be. Best decision I've made in years." But even as I said it, I felt a familiar ache in my chest. Divorce was the right choice. I knew that intellectually, but emotionally I was still processing the death of my marriage. The lunch rush kept me busy until mid-afternoon. I was in the kitchen, going over inventory with our head chef, when Richard appeared in the doorway. "Greg, you need to see this." He handed me his phone, and I found myself staring at another social media post. This time, it wasn't Alicia who'd shared it. It was her mother, Patricia. "Praying for my daughter during this difficult time. Some people don't know how to fight for love. Ye heartbroken, ye disappointed." The post had dozens of comments, most from people I recognized, friends from church, neighbors, Alicia's coworkers, all expressing sympathy for my wife and subtle condemnation for the husband who'd abandoned her. "She's really going with the victim narrative," Richard observed. I scrolled through the comments, my anger building with each sanctimonious response. According to Patricia's version of events, I was the villain who'd walked out on his devoted wife over a simple misunderstanding. No mention of Dom, no mention of the emotional affair, no mention of the fact that Alicia had publicly declared another man her favorite. "Let them think what they want," I said, handing back the phone. "I know the truth." But it stung. These were people I'd considered friends, people who'd attended our wedding, people who'd shared meals at my restaurants. And they were all taking Alicia's side without even hearing mine. Wednesday brought the first direct confrontation. I was leaving Romano's around 9 p.m. when I spotted a familiar figure waiting by my car. Tom Bradley, one of our neighbors, was leaning against the driver's side door with his arms crossed. Tom was a big guy, 6'3", probably 250, who worked construction and had opinions about everything. He'd been friendly enough when Alicia and I were together, always ready with a wave or a comment about the weather. Tonight, he looked ready for a fight. "Tom," I said carefully, "what's up?" "You tell me, Greg. What kind of man walks out on his wife?" I unlocked my car and opened the door, forcing him to step aside. "The kind whose wife is in love with someone else." "That's bullshit. Alicia's a good woman. She made one mistake." "One mistake." I turned to face him fully. "Tom, did your wife ever post romantic photos with her ex-boyfriend? Did she ever call another man her favorite? Because if she did, I'd love to know how you handled it." Tom's face reddened. "It was just social media. You're blowing this out of proportion." "Am I? Tell me, if Linda posted a picture with her ex and called him her favorite man, would you be cool with that?" He didn't answer, which was answer enough. "Look," I said, getting into my car. "I appreciate your concern for Alicia, but this isn't your marriage. You don't know the whole story." "I know enough," Tom shot back. "I know she's been crying for 3 days straight. I know she loves you and wants to work things out. And I know you're being a stubborn ass." I started the engine. "Then you don't know anything at all." Thursday morning brought more social media drama. This time, it was Alicia herself, posting a long, rambling message about fighting for love and not giving up on marriage. She talked about forgiveness, about second chances, about the importance of working through difficult times. She made herself sound like a saint and me like a monster. The comments poured in. "You deserve better, honey." He doesn't know what he's losing. His loss, your gain. I was reading through them when my phone rang. The caller ID showed a number I didn't recognize. Greg Harper. This is Dom Salazar. My hand tightened on the phone. What do you want? To talk. Man to man. This whole situation is getting out of hand. You think? Look, I know you're pissed, but you're taking this too far. Alicia made a mistake, but she loves you. She wants to fix things. Funny, I said. Last I checked, you were her favorite man. Shouldn't you be happy about this? There was a pause. It wasn't like that. We're just friends. We've always been friends. Friends don't pose for romantic photos. It was just a picture, man. You're reading too much into it. Am I? Tell me, Dom, if your wife posted a picture like that with her ex, how would you feel? Another pause. That's different. How? Because it just is. Right. Well, here's the thing, Dom. My wife chose you. She chose to have an emotional affair with you, to call you her favorite, to prioritize your feelings over mine. So congratulations, you won. But don't call me asking to fix the mess you helped create. Greg, I hung up. That afternoon, I got a visit at Romano's from someone I hadn't expected. Susie Salazar, Dom's wife and Alicia's best friend. Susie was a small woman with dark hair and tired eyes. She'd always been quiet when we'd socialized as couples, content to let Dom and Alicia dominate the conversation. I'd assumed she was shy, but looking at her now, I realized she'd just been observing. Can we talk? She asked. I led her to a corner booth and signaled Richard to bring us coffee. Susie waited until we were alone before speaking. I owe you an apology, she said quietly. For what? For not telling you sooner. About Dom and Alicia. My blood went cold. What about them? Susie wrapped her hands around her coffee mug as if seeking warmth. They've been having an affair for 6 months, not just emotional, physical. The words hit me like a sledgehammer. How do you know? I've known for a while. Text messages, late nights, the way they looked at each other when they thought no one was watching. She met my eyes. I followed them twice, to the Riverside Motel on Highway 9. I felt like I was going to be sick. Why didn't you tell me? Because I was scared. Scared of breaking up 2 marriages, scared of losing my best friend, scared of admitting that my husband was cheating on me. Tears started rolling down her cheeks. I kept hoping it would end on its own, that they'd come to their senses. But they didn't. No, if anything, it got worse. Dom's been talking about leaving me. Says he's not happy, that we've grown apart, that maybe we'd be better as friends. And Alicia? She's been planning to ask you for a divorce. She was just waiting for the right time. Susie wiped her eyes with a napkin. That post you saw? That was her way of testing the waters, seeing how people would react to her being with Dom publicly. I leaned back in the booth, trying to process this information. Everything I'd believed about my marriage, about my wife, about the nature of her betrayal. It was all worse than I'd imagined. Why are you telling me this now? I asked. Because I'm tired of lying, tired of covering for them, and because you deserve to know the truth. She reached across the table and touched my hand. I'm filing for divorce next week. I thought you should know what you're really dealing with. After Susie left, I sat in that booth for an hour, staring at my untouched coffee. 6 months. They'd been having a physical affair for 6 months, and I'd been completely oblivious. All those late nights at the gym, all those weekend trips to visit her sister, all those times she'd been too tired for intimacy, she'd been with him. I thought about the ring I'd mailed her, about the note I'd written, such a small gesture for such a massive betrayal. My phone buzzed with another text from Alicia. Please call me. I need to explain. For the first time since this whole mess started, I typed back, There's nothing to explain. I know about the motel. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, a single word. Shit. I turned off my phone and went back to work. Friday morning brought the declaration of war. I was opening Romano's when I found them waiting in the parking lot. Tom Bradley, Mike Peterson from down the street, and Jim Walsh, Alicia's cousin. 3 men I'd once considered friends, now standing like a tribunal outside my restaurant. Greg, Tom called out as I approached the door. We need to talk. About what? About you doing the right thing, Jim said. He was a stocky man with a red beard and a temper to match. About you going home to your wife and working this out like a man. I unlocked the door and stepped inside, not bothering to hold it open for them. They followed anyway, their heavy footsteps echoing in the empty dining room. Gentlemen, I said, flipping on the lights, I'm about to open for business. If you want to have breakfast, you're welcome to stay. If you want to lecture me about my marriage, you can leave. Cut the crap, Greg, Mike said. He was a mechanic with grease permanently embedded under his fingernails and an opinion about everything. Alicia told us what really happened. You saw one innocent photo and lost your mind. Innocent? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Is that what she called it? She made a mistake, Jim said. She posted something without thinking, but instead of talking to her about it, you packed up and left like a coward. A coward? I repeated the word slowly. That's interesting. Tell me, Jim, what would you call a woman who has a 6-month affair with her best friend's husband? The three men exchanged glances. What are you talking about? Tom asked. I'm talking about the fact that your innocent victim has been screwing Dom Salazar at the Riverside Motel twice a week since April. I'm talking about the fact that she's been planning to divorce me so she can be with him. I'm talking about the fact that you three idiots are defending a woman who's been lying to all of us for months. That's bullshit, Jim said, but his voice lacked conviction. Is it? Ask Susie Salazar. She's the one who told me. She's also the one filing for divorce because her husband is in love with my wife. The silence stretched between us like a taut wire. I could see the doubt creeping into their faces, the slow realization that maybe they didn't know the whole story after all. Even if that's true, Tom said finally, marriage is about forgiveness, it's about working through problems. You're right, I agreed. Marriage is about forgiveness. It's also about trust, respect, and fidelity. When those things are gone, there's nothing left to work with. So you're just giving up? Mike asked. I'm accepting reality. There's a difference. They left without ordering breakfast, muttering among themselves as they walked to their trucks. I watched them go, knowing that by noon, half the town would know about Alicia's affair. Good. Let them know the truth. The lunch crowd was lighter than usual. Word travels fast in small towns, and apparently I'd become persona non grata among certain circles. I didn't care. The people who mattered, my regular customers, my employees, my real friends, they knew the kind of man I was. Around 2 o'clock, Richard pulled me aside. You've got a visitor, he said, nodding toward the front entrance. Alicia stood just inside the door, looking around nervously. She'd lost weight in the past week, and her usually perfect hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail. She looked fragile, vulnerable, exactly the image she was trying to project. I walked over to her, keeping my expression neutral. We're closed between lunch and dinner. You'll have to come back later if you want to eat. Greg, please. We need to talk. No, we don't. Yes, we do. This is getting out of hand. People are choosing sides, spreading rumors. Rumors? I kept my voice low, aware that Richard and the kitchen staff were listening. Is that what you're calling your affair now? Her face crumpled. It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think. 6 months, Alicia. The Riverside Motel? Twice a week. Should I go on? How did you... She stopped herself, realizing she'd just confirmed everything. Susie told me, your best friend, who you've been betraying right alongside me. I never meant for this to happen. But it did happen, and you let it happen, and you were planning to leave me for him anyway, so really I just saved you the trouble. Tears started rolling down her cheeks. I love you, Greg. I made a mistake, but I love you. No, you don't. You love the idea of me. You love having a stable husband and a steady income while you play house with your high school boyfriend. But you don't love me. If you did, you never would have touched him. That's not fair. Fair? I almost laughed. You want to talk about fair? Fair would have been you asking for a divorce before you started screwing around. Fair would have been you being honest about your feelings instead of making me look like a fool. Fair would have been you not turning half the town against me with your victim act. I didn't mean... Get out. Greg, get out of my restaurant. Get out of my life. Go be with Dom if that's what you want, but stop pretending you're some innocent victim in all this. She stood there for a moment longer, tears streaming down her face, waiting for me to soften, to take her back, to forgive her. I didn't. Finally, she turned and left, and I watched her walk away from me for what I hoped would be the last time. That evening, my phone started ringing. First Patricia, Alicia's mother, screaming at me for humiliating her daughter in public. Then Jim Walsh, demanding to know who I thought I was. Then a number I didn't recognize, probably one of Alicia's gym friends calling to tell me what a monster I was. I turned off my phone and went for a walk. Main Street was quiet at 8 o'clock on a Friday night. Most people were at home with their families, watching movies, making dinner, living their normal lives. I envied them their simplicity, their certainty, their intact marriages. I was passing Kowalski's Hardware when I heard footsteps behind me. I turned to find Dom Salazar approaching, his hands shoved deep in his jacket pockets. We need to finish our conversation, he said. No, we don't. Yes, we do. This has gone far enough. I stopped walking and faced him fully. Dom was a big man, not as tall as Tom Bradley, but broader, more muscular. He worked at the lumber mill and spent his free time at the gym. He looked like the kind of guy who solved problems with his fists. You want to finish our conversation? I said. Fine. Let's talk about how you've been fucking my wife for 6 months. Let's talk about how you convinced her to betray her best friend. Let's talk about how you're destroying 2 marriages because you can't keep your dick in your pants. His face darkened. Watch your mouth. Or what? You'll hit me? Go ahead, Dom. Assault me in the middle of Main Street. I'm sure that'll help your case in the custody hearing. That stopped him cold. What custody hearing? The one that's coming when Susie divorces you. You think the judge is going to give joint custody to a man who abandoned his family for another woman? You think your kids are going to want to spend weekends with Daddy and his home-wrecking girlfriend? Alicia's not a home-wrecker. Isn't she? She wrecked my home. She wrecked your home. She wrecked Susie's home. What would you call her? Dom stepped closer, close enough that I could smell the beer on his breath. I call her the woman I love. Then why are you here talking to me? Why aren't you with her right now, planning your future together? Because she's still hung up on you, because she thinks there's still a chance to fix things. And you want me to what? Bow out gracefully so you can have her? I want you to stop being a selfish prick and let her go. I laughed, and the sound echoed off the empty storefronts. Let her go? Dom, I already let her go. I mailed her my wedding ring. I moved out of our house. I told her to be with you if that's what she wants. What more do you want from me? I want you to stop poisoning people against her. Stop telling everyone about the affair. I'm not telling anyone anything they don't deserve to know. Your wife deserved to know. My friends deserve to know. And if people are turning against Alicia, maybe it's because they don't like being lied to. Dom's hands clenched into fists. You're ruining her reputation. No, Dom. She ruined her own reputation when she decided to cheat on her husband. I'm just making sure people know the truth. The truth according to you. The truth according to reality. You want to be with her? Fine, be with her. But don't expect me to help you clean up the mess you both made. I turned to walk away, but Dom grabbed my arm. We're not done here. I looked down at his hand, then back up at his face. Yes, we are. Let go of me, Dom. Not until you promise to stop spreading lies about Alicia. They're not lies, and I'm not spreading them. I'm just not covering for her anymore. His grip tightened. Promise me. Or what? Or I'll make you promise. I smiled, and something in my expression made him take a step back. Dom, I've been managing restaurants for 15 years. Do you know how many drunk assholes I've had to throw out? How many fights I've broken up? How many tough guys I've faced down? I stepped closer, and now he was the one backing away. You want to threaten me? Go ahead. But understand something first. I've got nothing left to lose. My marriage is over. Half my friends hate me, and my reputation is already shot. What exactly do you think you can take away from me? He released my arm and stepped back. This isn't over. Yes, it is. Go home to your wife, Dom, or go home to my wife. I don't care anymore. Just stay the hell away from me. I walked away, leaving him standing alone under the streetlight, and for the first time in a week, I felt something like peace. Saturday brought unexpected reinforcements. I was at Romano's, prepping for the dinner rush, when Richard burst through the kitchen doors with a grin on his face. You need to see this, he said, thrusting his phone at me. On the screen was a Facebook post from Susie Salazar. It was long, detailed, and devastating. After much consideration, I've decided to share my truth. For the past 6 months, my husband Dom has been having an affair with my best friend Alicia Harper. I've kept silent, hoping they would end it and return to their families, but instead, they've chosen to destroy 2 marriages and blame everyone else for the consequences. Greg Harper is not the villain in the story. He's a good man who deserves better than a wife who would betray him with his friend's husband. Dom is not the victim he's pretending to be. He's a cheater who abandoned his family for a fantasy. And Alicia is not the innocent victim she's portraying herself as. She's a woman who chose to destroy multiple lives for her own selfish desires. I'm filing for divorce and seeking full custody of our children. I will not allow them to be raised in an environment of lies and betrayal. To those who have been supporting Dom and Alicia while condemning Greg, I hope you'll reconsider your position now that you know the truth. The post had been up for 3 hours and already had over 200 comments. I scrolled through them, watching the tide of public opinion shift in real time. Holy shit, I breathed. It gets better, Richard said, taking back his phone. Patricia deleted her post about praying for Alicia. Jim Walsh posted an apology to you, and Tom Bradley just called asking if you want to grab a beer later. I leaned against the prep counter, feeling simultaneously vindicated and exhausted. I should feel good about this, right? People finally know the truth. But you don't? I don't know what I feel. Relieved, maybe? But also sad. This whole thing is just ugly. Everyone loses. Not everyone, Richard said. You're free. That's not nothing. He was right, but freedom felt heavier than I'd expected. The dinner rush was busier than it had been all week. Apparently, being the wronged husband in a small-town scandal was good for business. People kept stopping by my table, offering condolences, sharing their own stories of betrayal, treating me like some kind of folk hero. I hated it. Around 9 o'clock, as I was closing out the register, my phone rang. The caller ID showed Alicia's number. What? I answered. You son of a bitch. Her voice was raw, furious. You told her to post that, didn't you? I didn't tell Susie to do anything. She made her own choice. Bullshit. You planned this whole thing. You wanted to destroy me. Alicia, I didn't destroy you. You destroyed yourself. Susie just told people what you did. My life is ruined. My job, my friends, my family, everything is gone. Welcome to consequences. I hear they're a bitch. This is all your fault. My fault? I'm not the one who cheated. I'm not the one who lied. I'm not the one who chose another man over my marriage. I chose you. I came to your restaurant. I begged you to take me back. After you got caught. After 6 months of betrayal. After you'd already decided to leave me anyway. I took a deep breath. Alicia, even if I wanted to take you back, which I don't, how could I ever trust you again? How could I look at you without wondering where you'd really been? Who you'd really been with? Silence on the other end of the line. That's what I thought, I said. Goodbye, Alicia. Greg, wait. I hung up. Sunday was supposed to be my day off, but I couldn't sit still in my apartment. I drove out to Miller's Park, the place where Alicia and Dom had posed for their fateful photo. It was a beautiful autumn day, the leaves turning gold and red, families having picnics and playing frisbee. I sat on a bench overlooking the lake and tried to imagine my future. At 39, I was starting over completely. No wife, no house, no shared dreams. It was terrifying and liberating in equal measure. Greg? I turned to find Susie Salazar walking toward me, her 2 kids trailing behind. 8-year-old Emma and 6-year-old Jake, both with Dom's dark hair and Susie's gentle eyes. Hi, Susie. How are you holding up? She sat down beside me while the kids ran toward the playground. Better than I expected, actually. It feels good to tell the truth. I read your post. Thank you for that. I should have done it months ago. I should have told you the first time I caught them. Why didn't you? She was quiet for a long moment, watching her children play. Because I was scared of being alone, scared of being a single mother, scared of admitting that my marriage was a lie. And now? Now I realize I've been alone for months anyway. At least this way, I'm alone by choice. We sat in comfortable silence, 2 casualties of other people's selfishness, finding solace in shared understanding. What will you do now? I asked. Focus on my kids? Go back to school, maybe? I always wanted to be a teacher. She smiled sadly. What about you? I don't know yet. Keep running my restaurants. Maybe open a 4th location. Try to remember who I was before I became half of a couple. You'll figure it out. You're stronger than you think. So are you. Monday morning brought the final confrontation I'd been expecting. I was unlocking Romano's when Dom's truck pulled into the parking lot. He got out slowly, his face haggard, his clothes wrinkled like he'd slept in them. Behind him, in the passenger seat, I could see Alicia. We need to talk, Dom said as he approached. No, we don't. Please, Greg, just 5 minutes. Against my better judgment, I let them into the restaurant. Alicia looked even worse than Dom. Pale, thin, her eyes red from crying. They sat across from me in the same booth where Susie had revealed their affair, and the irony wasn't lost on me. We want to apologize, Dom began. Okay, apologize. We're sorry, Alicia said, her voice barely above a whisper. We never meant for things to go this far. How far did you mean for them to go? 3 months? 4? Were you planning to tell me eventually, or just let me figure it out on my own? They exchanged glances. We were going to end it, Dom said. After the holidays. We were both going to work on our marriages. Bullshit. Susie told me you were talking about leaving her, and Alicia was planning to divorce me. Don't sit here and lie to me about your intentions. Okay, you're right, Alicia said. We were in love. We were planning to be together. But we were going to do it the right way. The right way? I laughed bitterly. The right way would have been getting divorced before you started fucking each other. The right way would have been being honest with your spouses. The right way would have been not destroying two families for your own selfish desires. We know we messed up, Dom said, but now everything's ruined. Susie won't let me see my kids. Alicia lost her job. People won't even look at us. And you want me to do what about that? Help us, Alicia pleaded. Tell people you forgive us. Help repair our reputations. I stared at them in disbelief. You want me to help you? After everything you've done, you want me to clean up your mess? We're desperate, Greg, Dom said. We've lost everything. Good. Maybe now you understand what it feels like. I stood up, done with this conversation. Here's what's going to happen. You two are going to leave my restaurant and never come back. You're going to live with the consequences of your choices, and you're going to stop asking other people to fix the problems you created. Greg, please, Alicia started. No, I gave you 5 years of my life, Alicia. I gave you my trust, my love, my grandmother's ring. I'm not giving you anything else. They left without another word, and I watched through the window as they drove away together. Two people who destroyed everything for love, only to discover that love built on betrayal never lasts. 3 months later, I was a different man. The divorce had been finalized in January, a surprisingly simple process since Alicia didn't contest anything. She kept the house, I didn't want it anyway, and I kept my restaurants and my freedom. Dom and Alicia's relationship had imploded by Christmas. Turns out, when you build a romance on lies and betrayal, it doesn't have much of a foundation. Dom moved back in with his mother, and Alicia left town entirely. I heard she'd gone to live with her sister in Phoenix. Susie got full custody of the kids and was starting her teaching degree in the fall. We'd become unlikely friends, bonded by shared experience and mutual understanding. Sometimes we'd grab coffee and laugh about how naive we'd been, how blind to the obvious signs. Do you ever miss it? She asked me one afternoon in February. Being married, I mean. I miss the idea of it, I said. I miss having someone to share things with, someone who was supposed to be on my team, but I don't miss the reality of what my marriage had become. What about her? Do you miss Alicia? I considered the question. I miss the woman I thought she was. But that woman never really existed, did she? She was just a character Alicia played when it suited her. That's depressing. Or liberating. Now I know the difference between love and performance. Spring brought new opportunities. I'd been approached by investors about opening a 4th restaurant, this one in the state capital. It would mean more travel, more responsibility, but also more independence. More proof that I could build a life worth living on my own terms. I was reviewing the business proposal when Richard knocked on my office door. You've got a visitor, he said. Who? See for yourself? I followed him to the dining room, where a woman was seated at table 7. She was in her mid-30s with auburn hair and an easy smile. She was reading a book while she waited, completely absorbed in the story. She asked for you specifically, Richard said. Said she heard you were the owner. I approached her table, curious. I'm Greg Harper. You wanted to see me? She looked up, and I was struck by her green eyes. Hi, I'm Sarah Mitchell. I just moved here from Denver, and everyone keeps telling me I have to try Romano's. They said the owner was a good man who'd been through a rough patch but came out stronger. Did they now? They did. They also said you make the best chicken marsala in 3 counties. Well, they're right about that. I smiled. Would you like me to recommend something? Actually, I was hoping you'd join me, if you're not too busy. I glanced around the restaurant. The dinner rush wouldn't start for another hour, and Richard could handle anything that came up. I'd like that, I said. We talked for 2 hours. Sarah was a nurse practitioner who'd taken a job at the local hospital. She'd been married once, briefly, to a man who turned out to be nothing like what he'd pretended to be. She understood betrayal, understood the process of rebuilding, understood that sometimes the best thing you can do is start over. What made you move to Cedar Falls? I asked. I wanted somewhere quiet, somewhere I could figure out who I am when I'm not trying to fix someone else's problems. And have you? Figured it out, I mean? I'm getting there. What about you? Have you figured out who Greg Harper is when he's not half of a couple? I'm working on it. Turns out he's not such a bad guy. She smiled. I'd like to get to know him better. I'd like that too. We exchanged numbers, made plans for coffee later that week. Nothing rushed, nothing desperate. Just 2 people who'd learned the hard way that real love requires honesty, respect, and the courage to be yourself. As I walked Sarah to her car, I thought about the man I'd been a year ago. Naive, trusting, willing to overlook red flags in the name of preserving peace. That man was gone, replaced by someone harder, but also wiser. Someone who knew his own worth. "Greg?" Sarah said as she got into her car. "Yeah? Thank you for dinner, and for the conversation. It's been a long time since I've talked to someone who really listened. Thank you for giving me the chance." She drove away, and I stood in the parking lot for a moment, breathing in the cool spring air. For the first time in over a year, I felt genuinely hopeful about the future. My phone buzzed with a text message. For a split second, I wondered if it might be Alicia trying one more time to rewrite history. But the message was from Richard. "How'd it go with the pretty redhead?" I typed back, "Good, really good. Dinner tomorrow night? We'll see." But I was already looking forward to finding out. I walked back into Romano's, my restaurant, my kingdom, my proof that a man could lose everything and still build something worth having. The dinner crowd was starting to arrive. Families, couples, friends gathering to share meals and make memories. I thought about Dom and Alicia, wherever they were now, living with the consequences of their choices. I thought about Susie, raising her kids and building a new life on her own terms. I thought about Sarah, taking a chance on a stranger with a complicated past. And I thought about myself, standing in the middle of it all, scarred but not broken, wiser but not bitter, ready for whatever came next. The phone rang, probably a reservation request. Richard answered it with his usual cheerful professionalism. The kitchen was humming with activity. The dining room was filling with the sound of conversation and laughter. This was my life now. Not perfect, not what I'd planned, but entirely my own. And for the first time in longer than I could remember, that was enough.